faster finality in itself clearly has benefits. IBC in itself clearly has benefits. What the coalition determined, and is still in the progress of determining, is that the two combined opens up immense potential, immense possibilities. And that's really where, once, think about it for the others listening as well, we are seeing, especially Wax, for example, is seeing limitations of being able to run one chain in how, for example, the amount of accounts that it can facilitate on one chain, the amount of actual Wax accounts or EOS accounts or whatever it was, the amount of accounts on one chain, having faster finality combined with IBC in between EOS.io iterations opens up the potential for horizontal scaling like we've never seen before. And this is just a small glimpse of it, but this idea that you'd be able to potentially spin up new chains, purpose chains that would link together, and being able to transfer between them. If we're talking about faster finality, let's say between 1 and 6 seconds on both sides, right? So let's say it's between EOS.io and it's a simple transaction and it's a 1 second thing. That means within a very respectable, let's say 2 to 12 seconds, you could transfer between chains. You'd effectively be able to, and we're not there yet, but you'd be able to scale horizontally the network in a way, kind of unlocking infinite scalability. We're not there at all yet, but that's one of the possibilities that comes out of having both of them together. And that's one of the reasons why the coalition really in this market, if you go listen to the, I believe it's the last Thursday's call, was in a way faced with a decision of, do we go with faster finality or do we go with IBC? Or do we create somewhat parameters to be able to do both? And the idea was presented, and right now the high level idea was approved essentially, and now UX and the rest of the coalition members are working on the parameters so that we can essentially have our cake and eat it too, and not have to choose between one or the other, and really position EOS.io very much future-proof in a way, or continue down the path of having EOS.io as a leader of scalability within the blockchain space. And really the two technologies that UX is putting on the table, offering to the coalition, really does this. And so that's, I think, the most exciting thing for me, is continuing down that path of collaboration between what essentially are competitors, recognizing that working together, we can unlock a lot of potential that we've never been able to before. And those two particular priorities are like, there's nothing else like this in this space. Both of them combined is pretty amazing. This is what attracted, I think, a lot of us from a tech point of view anyways, many years ago. And we're seeing that it's now at our fingertips to a certain extent. Kind of as a summary, or in a way, I guess like a TLDR for those following, one of the key takeaways from the discussion that's been occurring, let's say for the last 20 minutes or so, which is very, very different if you've been following along EOS for the last couple of years. Two key takeaways. One is that the team that was chosen to take on this task has been thinking and working on this for nearly 10 years in one way, shape, or form. Two is the amount of developer power that is now back leading and guiding EOS development is quite immense, and it is much greater than what we've seen, let's say, in the last 2 years, give or take or so. And so in terms of promise, in terms of direction, in terms of tangible change, we're on the cusp of a lot of that. Guillaume is not saying, hey, we're going to work on something and we're going to get it in a year or so. They already have this functional. And so the idea is we would be able to, as a coalition, deploy this on our respective chains over the next 2 months, depending on the parameters that we need to come up with and such. But it is realistic that EOS.io chains, between EOS.io chains, could have IBC within, by the end of the summer type of thing, or very early fall. And so that to me is extremely exciting. We're not talking about theory. We're talking about actual tangible development and value add in a very, very short period from a team that's been working on this for a considerable amount of time.